In this video we'll be looking at how we can expand Operator to integrate to incorporate some MIDI control and expand the instrument control with LFOs to make rhythms and patterns from one set of simple, 16 macros effectively, that you can noodle around with and make sounds like going on in the background. You see I only have one note playing here, a C2 note, and that is generating the melody, if you like, just a single note with control of Operator. Have a listen and then we'll get into how it actually functions and at the end how it's built. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on. It's a little bit complicated, so I guess we'll be taking the red pill and going down the rabbit hole, but I'll try to explain as best I can. Effectively, what we have are a series of MIDI effects controlling Operator here. Here's Operator. And before Operator, we have a MIDI chord, a scale, pitch, and an expression control. These are all MIDI effects. And they're generating effectively these rhythmical patterns which are then being fed into Operator. Let's have a look at the MIDI side of things, then we'll get onto the LFOs in a second. You can see here we have two notes. I've got the tempo down very low at 20 just to make it understandable here. And they're C2, so we're getting a C here coming in. Turn off the expression control. All the MIDI effects are off, so we're just getting a C fed into Operator. Now, if I turn on the expression control, what this does in the increment function here allows you to generate a series of pitches in steps, and every time a note is played, it increases up through the step. I'll show you here. At the moment we have one step, nothing's going on, just playing C. If I increase this, let's go up to 5, you'll see this dot starts to move up. And what's happening is that the expression control is choosing notes, because we're modulating here the range in a bipolar manner. It's choosing notes below and above this C2 value. We can't hear them at the moment, we're just seeing C, and the reason is the expression control cannot feed the information into Operator. It has to go via the pitch. So we have to have another effect, the MIDI pitch, which if I activate now, this is receiving here, the target we are modulating in the expression control is the pitch here. And now we will see different notes here as I go up through here being transmitted. So we're effectively generating a series of notes here with expression control. These are sent to the pitch, which is modulating the pitch, and this is controlled effectively by what I've called the well, we'll come to that later on. I'll explain how that, but this is basically what's happened. This generates notes, this pitch allows them to play, and we see them here. The next MIDI effect we have is scale. So we have a series of notes coming in, not very musical, and what we need to do then is somehow get them into some musical form. And I'm using this MIDI effect here called scale, which takes an incoming note and locks it into, in this case, a C minor scale. I could choose a different scale, I could do different scales at different fundamental notes. As you saw there, that one went blue, it came in as an E, went out as a D sharp. And so what's happening is we generate notes and they're getting a little bit mixed up in here. They're not coming out in the same sequence they came out here, they're coming out in a minor form. If you just watch for a second, see, every time a note is triggered here, this moves up. Okay, so, and then finally, we have a chord function, which I've set to a -7 chord. If I turn that on, we now have the note coming from scale, triggering a chord. And you'll notice when the lights go on, that note is being played. I have 3 here. I have a +3 semitones, +7 and +10. But below here I have a probability. And that's why sometimes the lights come on, sometimes they don't. Here's 60% chance that it'll play, 80%. And so we're effectively generating these random chords with a note coming in here, being locked into a scale here, and then activating a chord depending on probability here. This is how we're getting these random effects. So that's the MIDI side of things coming into Operator. What else is going on? Well, in Operator itself, to add a little bit more rhythm, let's open up Operator. Maybe I'll just close these, then we can see what's going on. So the MIDI is coming in. In Operator, presently I only have one oscillator open. This is oscillator A, which is mapped here. I can adjust the course. We get around. That's the course tone. But I also have 2 other operators here controlled with a macro, operator B and D. Now B we don't have much control over, just really the level of D and B here, but operator B, but operator D I can control the course level, which, let's turn this up a little bit, get a bit more tempo here, it's a bit faster. So with operator D I have control over the course and the level through these macros here, and this feeds via the FM algorithms, which we see down here on this section here. If I click here, these are the different algorithms, FM algorithms within Operator, which allow these operators to line, these oscillators to line up and either feed into each other here in this case, or play individually. So depending on the structure of the Operator algorithm, we get different tones. Let's go back to the oscillators here. So there are occasions when D is fed into A and frequency modulates A, and I've done the same thing with B here, but with B I've set a fixed level for the course tuning, and I can really just only adjust here, you see the levels, so I can introduce more or less of it along with operator D. So it's quite simple. I'm not using this oscillator here, so these 2 at times feed into here or individually generate tones. I can also adjust the feedback of oscillator D so that in the oscillator formations here, some of them feed back into each other, so we can get feedback as well in FM. So this I've kind of tuned to allow the generation of new tones. It doesn't give you the full flexibility of Operator, but it allows you enough. Okay, you might have noticed then, as I turned on Operator B, that new rhythms are introduced, and that's why, the reason that is because I'm here looping the amplitude envelope in sync with the tempo, third notes, and you'll hear that now on A, because I've also done the same thing here. I've also looped this one 16th notes. So we're getting the MIDI coming in, and now we have rhythmical elements coming from the two operators, and you can hear straight away things are starting to develop. Right, what else do we have going on? Let's have a look with our macros. We can close that for a second. Tuner we can close off. The LFOs, what are they doing? Well, they're performing two functions. Let's go to the expression control here. I have a thing called note time, which is effectively this rate here. So if I adjust the note time, you see I changed the rate of this LFO, which is a square wave, and the depth of this LFO is the note range here in expression control. So if I open this up, you see this opened up to 4. I can expand, as I say, the range the notes are generated below and above this C2. I only have 4%, very little value, because if I set this range too high, then I'll start getting notes below C-2 off of the charts. Basically, you won't hear them, or very high pitched tones. So I've been quite selective. I've set 4% here, which gives me a nice range around this value here, C2, to generate notes. So I can, as I say, I can here adjust the rate, how often this is affected here. So I start to get a rhythm in the tone. Here we go, let's set this back. We'll set this back to, there's a change now every 1 bar. And we look at the next LFO. The next LFO we have is transposing the operator here. And it operates, it transposes here this value, the entire tone coming out of operator. This is a little bit tricky to explain. It adds a random element. Let's come here, which I've called, let's close that up, which I've called pitch glitch. And I'll try and explain how this works. What it's doing is it's modulating this. I can control it here. Let's close that. I can control it here with what I've called pitch time. So if I adjust the pitch time, it will increase the frequency of that and pitch glitch value. There we go. So I adjust the rate, and the pitch glitch, maybe if I just show with the tuner here, turn off chord so we don't have a chord. The pitch glitch, let's turn that down again. If we go back to our original value, which is a very small note range, and we set this down again, pitch glitch to 0, we have a C coming in. If I increase the pitch glitch, I start going through the 12 tones in an octave. You'll see. C sharp. As I move it up, B, D, etc. And what the oscillator, let's set that to A, we're saying A, D sharp, because what the oscillator is doing is modulating this value here, the transpose, and choosing a second note. The second note being the peak of the square here. So here we on the bottom we'd have the C, or in this case a D sharp, and then the top would be the A. So it's generating 2 notes, and I can move this through the pitch glitch. I get different notes, different pairs of notes. Now, these aren't controlled by scale, so they're not going to be in a minor scale. They're just literally 2 notes that are being generated on and off, and I can adjust the time. Here I can have them generated every 1 bar. So it'll wait a bar, then it'll generate another note. But this is another way of adding variety And this one you really have to listen to the melody, the sound that's being generated, the music, and then adjust them by ear until you get something that's in tune with the minor chord, sorry, the minor scale. So that's all I do. It's just another way of adding variety. Okay, what have we got finally then? So that's how these two function. I'll explain more in the build here. We can close this. Finally, I think we have some effects in here. The FM algorithm, maybe I should show that. The FM algorithm, which is here, let's open that up again. So I have this mapped here so I can change the algorithms. You'll see them change here. They're grayed out, but so I can affect those. The coarse tuning as explained. So we can get different tones from adjusting the macros. Then we have transpose explained. The transpose is just literally complete transposing of the whole, everything coming out of operator. So that transposes here the entire selection of notes coming through operator, however you want, down 12. I think that's clear and understood. The pitch glitch we turn off, we've explained that. What else do we have? We have some effects here. Oh yes, we have the attack on operator. Here we go to the, here I can control the attack of the amplitude envelope. I can control the decay. Can't control anymore because I don't have any more macros. In fact, it would have been nice if we had more, that you could, if we had more macros, you could have mapped these scale notes here and had them controlled here, set them here, and then you could have saved them here in your variants. But that would have been quite nice, but we only have 16 macros, so we have to work with those. Right, what else do we have then? Finally, we have the reverb level. These are just effects on the end here. I've used the auto filter here. I'm controlling the filter frequency. Let's close this up. Controlling filter frequency here. I've preset a resonance value of 40%, again due to the lack of controls here. So I have some control there, and then we have the echo, which has its reverb controllable here, and delay dry wet, which I've set up how I felt it would be nice to use it. So that's it effectively. That's how it works. I say you can put the chord back on. And then really just tweak around with, I like to have the LFOs open actually. And then I can see the different rhythms, so I can change the note time here in this one here. Let's change that to quarter notes. And we'll change here the transformation, the pitch time, let's change half note. Increase the tempo. Adjust the tone how you want it. Tweak the sound till you get something you like. Okay. So let's have a look at how the instrument is built. Okay, so I've removed all the instruments and MIDI effects and LFOs from the instrument rack. Instrument racks you can just get here under instruments, and you can drag one in or drag it to a new channel over here. I've kept this simply because it's a bit faster. I don't have to rename these, and you can have a shorter video effectively. I've kept the auto filter and the echo, they're just effects. You can set those up and put whatever effects you like. Anyway, so let's put in the things we had. We had operator in here. Turn that off. We had our audio effects, 2 LFOs. Drop those in. behind operator here, 1 in, second LFO. In front we had our MIDI effects, which are found here. We have the expression control at the very front, followed by the pitch, didn't want to go in, let's try again, pitch. Then we had the scale to lock it into the scale, and the chord, so we're making full use of all the MIDI functions here. And after operator I had a tuner, which is also an audio effect. Find that tuner here, just so you can get an idea of what's actually going on. Right, okay, so I think we'll start with operator and get operator set up. So we'll close these. We'll get operators set up first. Don't need those. And make some settings here. Now, operator C was deactivated, only using D, B and A. And we will start straight away by mapping. The first thing we can map actually is here, the algorithm. So we go to mapping here, select the algorithms and map those. The next thing we can map would be, I guess, in our oscillator level. So we'll come out. I will make a screenshot of all of these settings because I've made some individual settings, especially with the levels and some of the coarse tunings and things. I've made some settings and the limits on when you use the macros, so that it's not always 1-to-1. There are some ratios. So I'll make a screenshot and put that up, and you can just type in the values yourself. Let's go here. And just one thing, I've increased the number of voices, in my case, to 8. 8 voices. The filter I deactivated because I'm using the external filter. Right, so let's look at the oscillators. We have on oscillator B, we have the envelope looping to beats, so it's synchronized. And that was set to 1/3 in my case. You can play around with these values. I also looped here in beat the operator A, 16th notes. And now we can map some of the values here. We have the coarse tuning here mapped for operator D. We have the coarse tuning mapped for operator A, they're easy. Then we have on operator D, we also have the feedback here is mapped. This was this macro here, oscillator D feedback. What else do we have? Now we have the oscillator D and B level. So D, they're mapped to this macro here. D and B, they're both mapped to the same macro. We have oscillator coarse mapped at, that's okay. Now there are some settings here for the levels. Let's just have a look. Coarse tuning D and A. Yes, on operator D, this one here, I limited this to 24. Just a value I played around with. So this one, operator A, has the full range, but D, I restricted the coarse tuning here. Okay, let's have a look. What else do we have here? So we have those set up. We have the FM algorithm set up. We have the attack and decay for the envelopes, and the envelopes I associated with attack and decay were D and A. So here we're going to map that. So the attack of operator D is mapped, and the attack, click down here, of operator A is mapped here as well to the same one. The decay of operator A is mapped here, and the decay of operator D is mapped to that macro as well. Now, for operator B here, I set a decay value, which I set at around about 4 seconds. It was a sine wave. I kept sine wave on all the oscillators. Okay, so that's set as well. We can actually map the transposition as well. Something we can map that here, transpose. I'll come back to that later on because we need to map the LFO to it, and that might cause a problem. So we need to map the LFO first. We'll come back to that one in a second. Okay, let's have a look at the MIDI effects then. We'll close that up. The expression control we'll start with, and we have to click down the bottom here to increment, and we'll open up the pitch as well here. We need to target with a modulation the pitch. I chose bipolar, so the notes swing around the C2 value, as I explained. You could go for unipolar and just have the notes going in one way. The steps we need to map here, so we will map the number of steps here. We can control that here, and we need to set a range on the steps as well. I chose 16 steps. I didn't think I needed 32. So that's set there. We can reduce the random to the lowest setting possible. Steps we can set down now to 1. This value we need to set with the LFOs. We'll come to that in a second. Just having a look. The pitch. In fact, actually, we'll set this up. Then this is complete. We'll go to the LFO here. We'll choose the first LFO, and we will map that here to control the output range. And you can see now we've got a sine. We need to change that to square. We need to limit then the rate and the depth of this LFO. We need to set this value though to 100%. So let's map these. This has to be on 0 to begin with. That has to be set to 0. The depth here we will map to the note range and set again at 4%. There we go. Now we have a very small range here. Only the 4%. Maximum 4. Okay, that's done. The note time we can see will adjust now. This. So we need to set this to musical values. Musical intervals. Let's reset that again. Sorry. Let's remove the note time. Sorry, you have to set it first, you can't set it afterwards. So that's now set to musical values. Let's map that to here. That's done. Okay, so now we can set here our rate. So this LFO is set up 100%, set to musical values. The expression control is set up, we can close that. The pitch is set up, we don't need that anymore. The scale, you can choose your own. I went for a C minor scale. That's set up now. The chords, I set to play a minor 7th, and I adjusted the probability here at 90, 60 here, I believe. You can set these values as you want. It's really just experimentation. So that's set up. Okay, so we should have just one more LFO to set up here. Let's open this LFO. We'll open them both up. We'll set this up identical to this one. So 100% here, square wave. set the musical values, and this one here modulates our transpose in operator, this here. So we will map that to control the transpose. See, it's swinging wildly now, and then we have to go here to our mapping. Here we can close maybe this one. Let's see what's going on. We now go over to what I've called pitch glitch, and we need to set these things up: pitch time, pitch glitch. So we can map the pitch time to the rate here, and the pitch glitch is mapped here, the depth here. So we need some new values for the pitch glitch, which I set at 50%. There we go. So we now have our setting for pitch glitch. Right, so we have a C2 playing. Here we go. Oh, we need to map our transpose. 1 second, we need to go back into, let's close that again, back into operator. We haven't mapped our transpose here. So let's do that, map, transpose here. And this had a range of -12, in my case, -12, and +12, so I restricted the range on that. There we go. So that's all set up now. We don't have to do anything else in there. Let's have a listen, find out what's going on. That seems to be working. Don't know why the tuner isn't working. Turn off chord. Scale resist, play something a bit faster. Here we go. Our notes are coming in, being converted into pitch, being put into a minor scale, playing our chord. Delete the tuner, I don't know why he's not working. Try that again. Interesting, should work. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. It's a bit temperamental. There we go. Now it's working. Ableton glitch. Right, so that's working. We're getting notes coming in. The LFOs are working. The filters are mapped already. So we could now start experimenting. Well, thank you for watching. My name's Andrew. I've got some other videos on the channel as well, creating things in Ableton you might find interesting. Have a look. Enjoy your day.